Listen up.
All right, guys. Welcome back to the Record Straight podcast. Here with me, Anthony, and Christina.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
We are in a new space. How bloody cool is this?
It's beautiful. I love it so much.
It's superstar.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
It's really, we're the talent this time.
I know, we're the talent.
How exciting.
I walked in before and was like, you know, I'm the talent. Everybody move aside. I've got my own rider. It's good, isn't it?
Well, we had to bring it ourselves, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was lovely.
It was a pump water bottle.
It was so fine. But yes, very, very exciting to be here. Thank you to Benny and Aidan of That Creative Hub. We are so happy with our new home. And I guess it's such a nice segue into what we're doing today, which we're going to talk about the 10 years of Cartel.
Yep. 10
Very
years.
exciting.
We're getting old, aren't we?
I mean, we don't have to say it out loud.
But we kind of are. We kind of are.
Yeah,
sure.
It's
been a hectic 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah,
and
it's been crazy.
I think it's a really good opportunity for us to just really look back and kind of look at the big milestones of, you know, when we first started Cartel, but also, you know, our big achievements and our kind of personal moments that we've kind of had throughout that period. But I think for the listeners, you know, generally where we go with these podcasts is more, you know, analytical information based.
Totally.
And I think it's kind of important in the age that we're in to kind of give a little bit more context around us and who you guys are actually talking to at times, because we do have, dare I say it myself, I think we have quite an interesting story. And
we say we know a lot. So maybe we can prove just a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So why don't you get started? Like, I actually can't remember too much, but how do we meet?
So we met at Stereosonic.
That's right. That's
One
why I don't
Love
remember.
and Stereosonic have a huge part in our lives. So we met late one night, Stereosonic, then cut to a few months later. You told me all about your music career and the DJing and the everything.
Wasn't much of a career back then.
I mean, you were giving it a go, and that was fine. And my end, I was working in events, so it was a nice little synergy of okay, well, let me try and help. I guess we should let's tell the whole story. Okay, go ahead.
It wasn't at Stereo, it was after Stereo.
We don't have to tell the whole
we do. Flemington Road. And is it Flemington Road?
Yeah.
Or
on the
Macaulay
corner.
Road? I was on the corner eating a kebab on the floor.
Yeah.
And
we don't have to tell the whole story.
we don't have to tell the whole story. But that was a moment, and I was I DJing then before?
I think so. Yeah, you were DJing, producing. You were in the Melbourne bounce scene at that point.
Oof.
And so we kind of started to kind of get a vibe going and whatever, and cut a little bit in the future. And I started working for One Love Music Group, and got signed around the same time, which was really lucky.
Did I get signed because you were managing me then, or was that after?
Slightly. So I was talking to Stacey Butler back then.
Yes.
At One Love Music Group.
Yes.
And
I used to blow him up on email, being like, "Can you listen to my new demo, bro?"
Totally.
Yeah.
And so, kind of had a relationship with him, started to filter in your music, and was it Bad Bitch that got signed?
No. Bad Bitch had the Kendrick Lamar sample that we couldn't get cleared.
Which one with Hefner got signed?
Face Card was the second one.
Face Card got signed.
Bad Bitch was a single that we had made that was a collaboration with a very, very good friend of mine called Hugh Lake, who has gone on to do great things in the industry. He's produced tracks for Stan Walker and does a whole bunch of stuff for Sony and Warner and stuff now.
Producer.
He's amazing, and got the opportunity to work with him on a track called Bad Bitch, which we used a sample of Kendrick Lamar.
Still one of my faves.
It was pretty.
It got real weird at the end, but it was my
it was pretty heavy. And then the second track we did with him, that got signed to some French label that licensed it over there, and then Stacey picked up Face Card. And I think you saw things that were happening and were like, I better manage this guy because he's like touring and stuff.
Oh yeah, I was really starstruck at that point. And then what happened was One Love was looking for a publicist, and I was transitioning out of my event publicity phase. Yeah. And for whatever reason, Frank and Ant decided to take a chance on me, and then you, and then we started the One Love journey.
Yeah.
So,
and then from there, it's so crazy to think now that Frank and Ant from One Love. We
still our biggest clients.
Yeah, we still work with them today really, really heavily on One Love still. And
Full Circle.
Festival X, Circo Loco, Shouse, all the other stuff that's kind of
Thank you for all of the opportunity.
Nice little shout out for them. But yeah, I think they're a kind of really big pivotal part of our story. I mean, Frank was doing stereo. That's how we met. And then
correct. Ant taught me basically everything I knew in terms of contracting and A&R, a little bit A&Ring.
And management too,
and
really.
Management
because
too.
They had the management arm there.
And you know what? They were kind of one of the reasons why we picked up Josh in the end. So Josh Cashman was our first management client.
Or after me.
After you, sorry, yes. When we became Cartel and Ryder was just like you and James. Josh Cashman became our first proper, we're going to have a management division.
And we did it properly with
contracts and all of the things. And that started our journey of, okay, so we loved the development of artists. We loved working for them and championing them and all of those things. And then...
Was I still touring when we signed Josh? No. I was?
Yeah. Ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we did that big Brisbane trip, and that was during Josh.
That tour, yeah.
I almost crashed the car.
That was my last tour.
Yeah.
We did a
15-hour day, and you were DJing the boat party for 6 hours.
Yeah. That was kind of conducive to kind of how we were doing it. So the way that we had structured Righto was that I had the day job, and the day job was working as a swim teacher. And then we would do Cartel in the morning. You would go to One Love, I would go to the swim school.
Yeah.
And then on the Friday night, we would fly out, or I'd play a show in Melbourne, or we'd fly out. I'd play a couple of shows on the Saturday to make up the money at random bars and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we'd either play another show on Sunday in a different state or come home and play Penny Black. Mm-hmm. And we did that for years. Years. I'd probably say we did that for 3-4 years.
Yeah, so Josh was definitely part of the mix. I think even maybe Iconic was slightly part of that. Cartel was essentially a management division for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we figured very quickly that, I mean, not super quick. It was 5 years later.
5 years later.
That management was probably a bit harder to navigate when building a business.
Yeah.
We
think we all also kind of snapped into that, this is what we want to do. Let's take it serious kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, we were moving into the management mode pretty heavily. And I remember a phone call that you had with me, and you were like, you need to fucking choose. It's producing and DJing, or it's Cartel. Choose, because you can't do both.
I'm so nice.
And we can't do both. And it was probably one of the most pivotal phone calls I reckon I've ever had in my life professionally. Because it was
it made a huge difference.
A massive difference.
Because we both had to choose.
Yeah. Specifically, for me specifically, it was kind of flogging a dead horse. I wasn't really happy producing music anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at it, to be honest.
The touring was getting hard.
The touring was, for me it was hard because, you miss a lot of stuff and whatnot.
Of course.
I don't want to sit here and kind of shame people that tour or anything, because it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. But when you're doing it at the rate that I think we were doing it, that it was pretty tough. But that conversation there was probably the one where it was, for me, was I'm going to give this Cartel thing a real go.
Yeah.
And I think from there the management roster kind of started to form properly without me. I was no longer the linchpin.
Yeah.
It was kind of, when we first started Cartel, it was very much like I was the guinea pig. It was let's try everything on me.
Yeah.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, who cares?
Just for listeners listening, we also did a whole bunch of other stuff. We did marketing,
PR,
publicity. We were very heavy into the events still at that point. I think it was about 2018 when I left One Love, just on a whim. And so we were still managing Josh and Akka, Iconic, and we had done some really, really good things with them. Josh was nearing an album. He was editorial playlisting. He had already done a national tour with Tash Sultana, so that was really fun for us.
Canada.
He did Canada as a headline tour.
That was stressful.
Was it for you? Because
it was stressful for me.
Okay. You were pretty chill about the whole thing, but it's fine.
Someone had to temper your expectations.
Yeah, so fair. So we did that, and then Iconic was on his way up. He had done Tiger at that point.
Yeah.
The tour.
Tour with Bliss and Esso.
Toured with Bless and Esso.
Did a whole bunch of festivals and stuff.
Yeah. So we did
which was cool.
a few management things, and then I left One Love a little bit before that. Josh had his debut album. We were still doing publicity. We did Festival X, which was
big.
another big One Love thing that they gave us, and that was very,
Do you
very
reckon
lovely.
that was a moment for us where, because I think it was for me, where we kind of sat back and went, like, all right, not that we've made it, but we're like...
Well, Ant did say to us on that first tour that once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
And so from there, we did make a lot of electronic music connections, and we were starting to branch out into pop and urban, and
also just understanding kind of what we wanted to do.
And understanding the
how
industry
things
and the
worked.
landscape a little bit more, and what artists needed. I think that was a big shift in, okay, well, management's not working. And the artist development section is where that was born out of post first Festival X.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. And so we had to change everything.
Yeah.
We did. So I was still doing publicity at this point, but there was only for labels. So we had shifted into label services.
Was it? We were still doing indies for... We were still doing independent acts for PR, weren't we?
Totally. But it got a little bit more difficult because a lot of people weren't working and didn't have a lot of funding and anything like that.
I think if COVID taught us one thing, it was adapt quick.
Yeah.
Because, you know, independent acts, even labels and stuff.
Independent developing, even larger independent acts couldn't really...
Well, they don't have the money at the best of times, let alone in COVID. So it was kind of one of those things where we're like, we need to work something out here because it's, you know, things are changing very rapidly.
Totally.
And that's kind of when we started looking at different things like the management model versus the consulting model, which we'll talk about in other episodes, and, you know, different things around where our strengths and weaknesses lie, and kind of moving the business forward from there.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we did the shift into an artist development service and kind of championed that. And I think that was the point where, off the back of Josh's debut album, we were kind of like, which we put out independently. Thank you for everyone.
September 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And we kind of moved into this artist development space. Then got dumped. That was a tough time. And that's when we figured out the management probably wasn't right for us at that point.
I think management, we had a lot of experience with management up until that point. And it was kind of, you know, I think you put a lot of effort into something that you love, and, you know, with the way that the management model works, I think there's a lot of talk around how artists get burned, rightfully so. But I think for managers, particularly young managers like us, who, not that we didn't know what we were doing, but who were still very much on the come up within green in the industry, were very naive to the fact that we didn't have much of a safety net moving on, you know, putting so much focus into management. Yeah,
especially for all the hard work we put in. And anyway, so we quickly, from the moment of Josh dumping us, we learned very quickly that management was not a thing, so we had to adapt. And the last 5 years have been the biggest change in our lives.
Yeah,
I mean, we had a label service model that has been so beneficial and has led to so many things. Our relationships have grown in the industry, in media, in all of the things. It did lead to one of our biggest achievements to date. And I think that, or I think for me personally, the Platinum Peggy Goo and working on that entire album was the most incredible experience that I've had. One of the most incredible experiences I've had in the music industry. Thanks to Remote Control and XL Recordings. I think working on a whole bunch of different festivals and a whole bunch of different artists internationally was really beneficial for our growth. We kind of then really established the artist development thing, and you became the kind of poster boy for independent and developing acts, which has been really, really great for us.
I think at the core, like, even when we go back to 2015 when we first started Cartel, no matter what we've done over the time, whether it be PR, marketing, management, artist development, consulting, whatever it may be, it always comes back to that kind of thought of there's such a massive gap in the industry of you know, you've got your local and independent acts on one side who make really, really good music, and, you know, just just as good music as guys that are signed at a major level.
Totally.
But the difference is they don't have the access to resources.
The knowledge.
Yeah.
The support.
Absolutely.
Everything that we didn't have when you started.
Absolutely.
And that was the basis of everything now.
That's why I guess I was the guinea pig, hey.
And that's why you're so passionate about it now. That's why we do the ongoing consulting. That's why we do the campaign consulting.
Yeah.
That's why we do all of the artist development sessions, is because it's something that's so necessary. And I think, I don't want to say that we did, but we might have maybe flown the flag a little bit for artist development and this type of...
Within Australia, for sure,
of development and not having to rely on management so much, which was really, really great.
Yeah.
I think, 2025... Goodness gracious. Last year we were lucky enough to move into an office, which has been wonderful. Welcome,
right here.
everybody.
I know, this is crazy.
Which has been great. It's been huge for our development.
Kind of felt like we went to a whole new level last year, didn't it? I think from
legitimacy.
COVID we kind of survived and we did really well. Not to kind of, obviously COVID was a hard time for everybody. But I think that, last year was one of those things where we went into the year with the platinum and we were kind of like, all right, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
And we're kind of stressing about it quite a bit. And
we had a positive management-esque experience. We didn't call it management, but it was very, very business development minded. So thank you, Benny Greggs, for that.
Yeah, he's somewhere here.
He's somewhere just filming.
He's
in the
around.
Background.
He's playing with a camera somewhere. And that was a really good experience. And when we got the offer to come in here into that creative hub, I think that, honestly for me, I think that's probably within the kind of top 2 or 3 kind of things that we've done as a business, to be able to start from literally nothing and be able to develop to a point where we are today, to be able to come into an office here and kind of work every day with a bunch of cool people.
Young creatives.
Much
They've
cooler
pushed
than us,
us
unfortunately.
way cooler than us, which is so
They
fun.
look up to me. I'm the old guy.
Do they?
Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
They copy me all the time.
Okay.
I don't know. We can cut that out.
It's fine. They will.
Yeah.
No, but the young creatives, everyone here, and it's been so lovely to kind of collaborate and be able to lend experience and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's given us vision for this year, I think. It allows us to understand, okay, well, this is where we want to grow Cartel, and we can take some of the things that we've learned and all of the things that we've developed, our consulting services, our artist development sector, whatever, our ability to work with labels and work internationally. I mean, we're working at the moment with a whole bunch of lovely, lovely international acts.
Yeah.
Building up the Australian acts in that way. So that's my passion.
Yeah.
And kind of hopefully moving into a managerial thing then, soon.
Oh, I think it's only natural that
Hopefully.
At some stage when the synergy's right with a specific artist, or
that'd be my section.
Management's always going to be on the, like, I think even for me, like being
It's
a
our
manager,
baby.
being a manager is definitely what we want to do. But I think I would probably say that we kind of went into management a little too early.
Too early.
And it was the best thing that we ever did, because when we kind of went through that experience and then that ended, and we were kind of like, we saw kind of in the business things start to pick up when we dropped the management stuff in terms of what we were doing. I think if we can build that to a point and the synergy becomes right with a certain artist, or, we believe in where an artist is going and it's working and there's something to manage, that's
we'll pick up that section again.
100%.
And I think we'll champion the independent developing acts, because that's something we'll always do. Build up Cartel.
What do you think? So apart from Peggy, and we can do this like one-on-one.
Okay.
Your best time that we've had ever. It could be a show that we've been to. It could be just a random day in the office. It could be...
That's a lot of pressure. I actually don't know. What's yours?
I probably should have thought about it before I asked the question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think the day... probably Festival X. was a big one
that
for me.
That was a huge one, the second edition.
The second Festival X.
Yeah.
I think the first Festival X, we were kind of deer in headlights, kind of like, what the fuck are we doing?
No, the second one
here?
was great. We got to tour around.
The second one, it kind of, so the second one when we did the whole tour, that was fun.
On that boat party.
The boat
DJs,
party with everyone,
fun.
that was cool.
It's a bit surreal.
I think probably not my best moment, but I think the most pivotal moment was that conversation. Like, we've had many conversations. Obviously, we work together. We have to have conversations.
Yeah.
But that one conversation that we had on the phone, I'll never, ever forget that conversation. I was sitting at my parents' porch. I'd worked like 14 hours. I'd come off the back of a tour. I was like dying. And you were like, just fucking choose. Like, I feel like for me, that was the moment.
Yeah.
And it was like really, really, really like big. Like, you look back at it now after everything that we've done, and it's kind of, it feels really like a pivotal moment for me. So I'll rephrase it. What do you think was the most pivotal thing? Not necessarily who we work with, or...
I think the most pivotal in terms of the way that we shifted our business was when we got that call from Josh saying he doesn't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think that shifted all of our mindset.
Yeah.
And that crushed me for a while.
Yeah. And we
shout
love
out Josh Cashman. We love you.
We love
but
Josh.
Fuck, you made me sad. And then and then I guess the second bit, and I don't mean to say it just because they're in the room, but I mean, getting into the Creative Hub has been excellent for us. I mean, we've connected with so many people who we normally wouldn't have, and I think that's going to position our trajectory from now on.
And now, what do you think in terms of the next 10 years? I think, where do you think music is going?
Cool.
And where do you think we're going to go?
Music is shifting into it's more connection.
Yeah.
Artists who have learnt social media, I think, in a content-driven way, will need to have that skill set, but also have, how am I going to actually engage and connect with my audiences personally again? And I think that's something that's been lost to the last 5 years just because of COVID and everything like that. So that will be something I think will shift, and I think Cartel will grow, hopefully into an international type of thing. Hopefully we'll hire this year, which would be really wonderful.
Crazy.
And then an international arm of this. And I guess you're moving into public speaking and all of those nice artist development things, and we will just see how I go with whatever I choose to do next. You?
I think the music landscape's going to change forever. I think in Australia, we're so far away from the rest of the world. I think that's one thing that we've learnt probably over the last 2-3 years, mostly, particularly working with acts like Peggy and Jamie Jones and those guys. Shouse, Jamie XX. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like what happens in Europe and what happens in the US
doesn't translate
and what
here.
happens in Asia. It doesn't translate here, and when it does translate here, it translates 6 months later. Yeah. You know,
and also we're a drop in the ocean, so it really a lot of people don't really care unless you're here.
Australia's just a report to majors and stuff that are working on the international level.
Not independent artists though. The developing ones still have to have a focus here.
No, absolutely, and I think where it's going, I agree. I think it's going to be more connection based. I think content absolutely is going to be important, and consistency is going to be important. Mm-hmm. I think we're moving into a space where content's going to be less important than who you're speaking to. Yeah. And I think direct connection in terms of having an artist, like we were having a conversation today with an artist that we were working with, and
we can say,
so we were talking with the Vera Blues team. Who we're working with. We love Celia and her team.
Love Anthony, love Michael.
And it's very much around how do we lower that funnel from, people who are just seeing Celia on Instagram or seeing Celia on Spotify and listening once. How do we get them to a point where, they can gain way more access to Celia? Is it a WhatsApp chat? Is it a broadcast channel? There are so many different things that are going to evolve. Apps evolve, algorithms evolve. Yeah. But
so
I think
from a passive to an active listener.
Yeah, I think, in that sphere, like talking around artist development, I think where I kind of want to take Cartel in terms of that side of things is I really want to have focus with specific artists around the priorities there outside of just posting out nows and stuff like that.
For sure.
And
it's going to be context and connection,
absolutely.
Building narrative.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for us, I think we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, really.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff that you just listed.
Yeah.
The course is going to be really cool.
We have a music course coming out, yes.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. For that, we will be filming it here. So it'll probably look very similar.
It's all going to look the same. We've got a creative director, Benny's getting a few shout outs today.
Benny really is.
I need to start, is there like a thing that we can get money from saying his name, like a royalty?
Don't know.
We need to sort that out.
We give him.
I swear I say his name more than I say my own. But anyway, we'll move on.
We should.
But let's go now into probably a little bit more of a vulnerable spot. What's the toughest moment you've had with Cartel? Maybe not a moment, maybe like a period of time, or...
I think there was a point just after COVID and we had set up all of our services and things like that, and it was kind of a 2021 2022 thing, and it was a huge should we keep doing this. It was a huge
was that last year?
It was 2021 2022 when we lived in Highton.
Okay.
And we were working from there, and we had shifted all of our services, and we were cleaning from 4 till...
Yeah, so we were doing
4 till 2, and
we
then
were doing Cartel and doing a cleaning job, like
business as well. We were trying to
business on the side,
trying to make money.
Yeah,
and so that was probably the toughest moment for us for Cartel, because that was the point where we were like, well, should we just leave this and do the cleaning, because we were actually getting paid.
Yeah, man, I've had multiple tough moments. Like I wonder why we do this probably 35 times a day.
Oh, I've cried every day this year. So.
I think, but you know what? I think that's a testament to, keeping things going. Like, I don't want to be that motivational speaker or anything, because that's just a bit lame. But it's good looking back.
All of those tough moments came to a pinnacle point of right here. Yep.
To say that we've built something over a 10-year period, I think is pretty cool. And I
can't believe we're 10.
I know, 10. Fuck, old. We got to have a. We're
gonna have a party. Also at that creative hub.
The talk is that we're gonna have a party. When we've got to do that in October. So we'll work
sort that out. Everyone listening, you can be invited. Please let us know if you'd like to come.
100%. But I think that's kind of enough, isn't it? We don't want to go too deep into our lives. And
no.
It's nobody wants to listen to that garbage. But
thank you if you're still listening. Thank you so much. We have a big kind of schedule for the podcast. I think it's going to be very, very beneficial. We're going to kind of chill out on the motivation and be really quite real. We're going to have guests on. We're going to do a part 1 and part 2 of a lot of different things. So indie versus major record labels. We're going to do mental health checks for artists. We're going to do the state of streaming, state of PR, state of media. We're going to get some really cool guests in, I think. Our next one hopefully will be the modern day manager, and whether independent artists actually do need management, or if they need consulting, or if they can do it themselves. So it's just
I think the way that we kind of spoke about doing it is doing 2 parts to each of those, where we would do one based on our experience, or like what our opinion is. And then get a guest in. Again, opinions are opinions. They're not always right. But then doing a follow-up episode kind of later in the year where we bring on an expert that actually operates within that field. I think that's going to be so cool. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It's going to be super fun.
This one was not super informational, but it hopefully gave you context about us and what we do. And hopefully we can be a bit trustworthy as well. And then we will get in the experts for everything else.
Yep, let's do it.
2025. Thank you so much. Thank you again, That Creative Hub, and thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks for listening to Record Straight Podcast. Keep up to date with us on our socials, and we'll see you next time.